Hi, I'm Rob. I'm going to be showing you how to install a dual antenna RT system into this car. We'll be securing the RT in the vehicle with the RT strut quick mount system, and we're going to place it in the centre of the vehicle. When you're setting it up, raise the silver lever, move the strut until it touches the roof, lock the black lever in place, and then close the silver lever. We also offer extension legs for the RT strut and an extra long version to suit really tall vehicles. Next, we're going to attach the brackets to the RT. We recommend that the RT strut is mounted in areas separate from the vehicle occupants, such as the boot or trunk of the vehicle. This is the safest option. However, if you need to mount the strut in the centre of the vehicle, as we're showing here today, an additional restraint should be used to hold the strut firmly in place. Fitting the strut in the centre of the vehicle means the IMU is closer to the vehicle's centre of gravity, which is an important factor when collecting vehicle dynamics measurements. With the screws in place, we now attach the RT to the strut. It's as simple as that. The next job is to fit the antennas to the roof of the car. In this case, we're going to mount them in the centre of the vehicle, just for ease of use, but there are a couple of things we need to watch out for when we're doing this. The antennas need to be placed at least 30 centimetres from any edge, ideally on a metal surface. We also need to make sure that the cable exits the antenna in the same direction. This is quite important. The antennas we're going to designate as the primary antenna, which is at the front of the vehicle, and the secondary antenna, which will be at the rear. We'll use that later on in the configuration. As part of the configuration, one important measurement we need is the distance between the primary antenna and the secondary antenna. Ideally, these antennas need to be placed between 1 and 5 metres apart. This measurement is quite critical. We need to be accurate within 5 millimetres, ideally 3 millimetres. In this case, the distance between the antennas is 1.03 metres. I'll make a note of that and we'll enter it in the configuration. Now we've positioned the antennas on the roof, we attach the primary antenna, which is the one at the front of the vehicle, to the primary antenna port, and then the secondary antenna to the secondary antenna port. So now I'm going to attach the main user cable, which is keyed so it only fits in one position. We'll lock that in place, and now we're going to attach some of the other connections in a second. Now all we have to do is place the radio modem antenna on the roof. The next task is to connect the power supply. In this case, we're not using the standard power cable supplied with the RT, we're using an RT UPS, which is an uninterruptible power supply. By using this, we guarantee that there are no problems during the start-in of the vehicle or if somebody accidentally turns it off, because we'll get 3 minutes of power from this device. I'll just connect them to power now. Because we're using a base station in this test to achieve 1 centimetre accuracy, we needed to use a radio modem to receive the differential corrections from the base station, so we'll attach that to the user cable now. We've now got the unit securely mounted to the RT strut. We've attached the primary and secondary antennas, the power supply is connected and the radio modem is as well. We're now in a position to take some measurements ready to use in the configuration. For the primary antenna configuration page, we need to take 3 measurements. We need to tell the system where the primary antenna is in relation to the IMU measurement origin. In this case, we're going to measure how far in front of the IMU the primary antenna is, how far above it is, and then we'll look from the front to see whether it's to the left or the right. We need to be quite accurate with these measurements. We need to measure within about 10 centimetres. Okay, so now we're going to use navconfig software to create a configuration file. First thing we need to do is tell it which hardware we're using, which is an RT2000 version 2. Move on to the next page. We're going to use the default settings because that way there are no accidental settings left in there. The first thing we need to do is tell the software which way the product has been mounted in the car, and we do that by telling it which way the IMU axis points relative to the car axis. So in this case, we know the y-axis points towards the left of the vehicle and the z-axis points forwards. And we can see the icons on the right have changed, and that matches the orientation of the RT in the vehicle. With the primary antenna page, we measured how far ahead the antenna was of the IMU axis, and that was 0.83 meters. We know the antennas are directly above the RT, so we can leave the right value at 0 and move on to the above value, which is 0.97 meters. So now the system knows where the primary antenna is in relation to the IMU axis. We'll enable the secondary antenna because we are using that. And what it wants to know is how far apart the two antennas are, which we measured at exactly 1.03 meters. We click next. That takes us to the advanced slip page. We're not using this. You would use that in other scenarios. So we move on to the next page, which is the options. And what we'll do here is, because we're using a radio modem, we'll just check the differential option, which is RTCA. That's fine. So we know that's working. We can move on to the next page. And what we're going to do now is look for the system to send the configuration to. So we're using the drop-down menu, we would find that, and then we'll click commit, and the system sends. Now we do have the option to save the configuration if we want, but as it's committed, it's already held in the memory, and we can download that at a later date if we want from the RT. Now we've finished our configuration, I can send it to the RT. I've connected the Ethernet cable, and I can see the device is online, so we'll send that now. There are many more options, of course. This is just a very basic setup to get you going. And that's it, simple as that. Now we've finished creating our configuration, we've uploaded them into the systems. We're now in a position where we're ready to go and begin our initialization.